Hey, what's going on, everybody? We have a really special episode of our weekly AI meetups. We're actually doing this live right here in Mallorca, Spain. So we're really excited to get into this. Today we're going to be giving a tutorial on how to get started using Lovable. So stay tuned. So thank you all for being here. So just want to do a quick introduction about me, and then I'll talk about B150, and then explain what that is, and then we're going to get into actually building something together today. How's that sound? Cool. All right. So a little bit about me. A lot of you guys know me already, but you may not know everything about my background. So prior to essentially becoming an entrepreneur, I had a whole career in corporate life, and I worked as the head of product design for Time Magazine. I also was the head of product design for several big agencies, AKQA, Basic Depth, and I worked for AT&T for many years. So I did that. It was fantastic. I still love doing design work. I still do it every day. But I've been running Academy for the better part of 9.5 years. And it's actually a staffing and recruiting agency, and we help companies find talent. So that can be product designers, so UX, UI designers, if you ever heard of that before, product managers, everything that is involved in designing an app or a website. Those are the people that we're usually working with, and we're helping companies find those people. And I founded a new company this year, and it's called B150. And B150 is actually a community I built for people who are interested in generative AI, right? These are builders, people who are creating apps, websites, experiences. They're also maybe using generative AI to create films or games or artwork. You can do so much with generative AI, and as Chris demonstrated today, we can also use it for marketing automation, sales automation. It's super powerful, and I wanted to build a community where people could come to and talk and share more information about those things, kind of like we're doing here tonight, but in an actual technological form. And so I decided to vibe code it, and we'll talk about that term more in a second. Vibe code the entire thing myself, and I built an actual fully functional website. It basically is as good and as powerful as LinkedIn, and I did it in 3 months for $260 in cursor credits, and of course a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I've managed to stand up a pretty impressive platform. And now we have over 500 users that are actively on the platform, contributing, writing posts, commenting, upvoting, participating in different events like our Vibe-a-thon, you name it. We're really pushing the envelope and what can be done as a solo founder. And just to kind of note that, as a solo founder, I basically have done all of this work by myself. I've started to bring on other people to help, one of them being Bushra, who's actually helping with all our social media and content creation. We have some interns that I brought in who were very interested in vibe coding and wanted to learn how to do it. So I said, sure, why not? I'll teach you. And it's been a really inspirational journey for me personally, and I hope it will inspire you guys too. I won't get into a total demo today of the platform, but I do encourage you to sign up. You can do so at this link. And it's really a community for anybody who's deeply interested in these subjects and wants to learn more. And so great place to get questions answered, especially for people who are new. So today's talk is going to be about how to bring your product to life using vibe coding. But what exactly is vibe coding? So if you are unfamiliar with this term, I think it's probably dinner table conversation at this point. I wasn't sure if we'd get there, but I think now even my mom might know what it means. And that is...
We're still very early.
Yeah, we're still early. We're still early, but we're getting there. We're very close. But vibe coding was popularized by a guy named Andre Karpathy. I actually need to learn more about his background. I think he's actually one of the godfathers of AI. But he coined this term to really recognize that vibe coders were people who were non-developers, usually non-technical people, who are building apps and digital experiences by describing really the vibe that they wanted for a particular app and letting AI help them code it. And now vibe coding is really starting to evolve quite fast. And I think it is actually evolving even past this classical definition, because it's not just people who are maybe non-technical. Actually, people who are extraordinarily technical, even developers themselves, use coding assistants to help them code. And then there's everybody in between. I'd probably fall in the in-between category. So people are getting more and more advanced in this every day. And the more you use it, the more you will learn and become better at it. Of course, for many of you in this room, you likely are beginners, like at the very, very start of this journey. And that's why I'm going to show you today how to get started, because it's actually way easier than you would think to get started. Some of the tools that I'm showing here are actually the most famous, probably, vibe coding tools out there. Each one of them does things a little bit differently, and each one has varying degrees of technical requirement in terms of your acumen of learning and knowing how to utilize them. The easiest of which, I would say, is Lovable. And Lovable, if you haven't heard about it, is the fastest growing startup ever, like of all time. It's a pretty incredible tool. They've made it very approachable and easy to build. I think that is the secret sauce. It is not actually much different than most tools. It just uses a different user experience format. And that's totally fine, because from a starting point, this is a great place to begin. And then as you graduate into these other tools, there are more powerful ones. For my personal choice, I actually don't use Lovable in my day-to-day, just because I am a little bit more advanced than that. I use Cursor, and Cursor will allow you to really have full access to your code base and do much more complicated things. Lovable is a bit more opinionated about the way that it approaches things. That's totally fine, especially for somebody who wants to just build what's called a minimum viable product to get things really started for maybe their business, test it out, see if it's working, and then decide, okay, maybe I want to invest more time or money into this, or maybe I need to find outside investment, or maybe whatever I build can just be enough money to earn and bootstrap it myself. So, yes, Danny, you have a question? Yes, that's a great question. Once you build in Lovable, everything that you build in there is actually exportable as code. In fact, the easiest way to do it is connect your GitHub account, and we'll talk a little bit about, well, I'll actually explain what GitHub is now. So GitHub is actually a place to store all your code in the cloud, right? It's just like, Google Drive, but for code. And what's nice is you can connect it to a GitHub account that you create. It's totally free. And you'll sync your code there. And then whenever you are maybe done with Lovable, you want to move on to using a more advanced tool, you can actually just connect your GitHub again to that advanced tool, and it will just pull the code down directly, and you can manipulate it right there. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's get started. I'm going to move over to Lovable. And actually, I'll show you the interface, and then we're going to talk about our approach before we get into this. So this is Lovable, just a quick tour. It makes it super easy to start. They got a chat box right here where you can literally type in any idea that you want, and it will attempt to build it. And in most cases, does a pretty damn good job.
In minutes.
Yeah, in minutes. Yeah, very similar to Lindy.
I think they're all looking at each other.
Yeah, chat
What works, they'll take it.
chat interfaces are definitely valuable. Yep, and you could even talk to it, and I was telling you guys before that you could set this up just like Chris did. Chris had spelled your name wrong. So you could talk to it too. It also has a feature here where you can click on that, and I believe you can record everything, which is very nice.
Yeah, no, it's not as accurate.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to get to this in a second, but before we do, actually, what's really important is when we build a Lovable project or any vibe-coded project, we really need to start by giving really great instructions. And we're going to use ChatGPT in this case, but you could use any LLM, you could use Claude, whatever you like to use, to help us refine our approach a little bit and also refine it specifically for Lovable in this case, because Lovable has a very particular way of building, and that's okay. We're going to make our prompts really, really simple for it to understand, and then we're going to let it start building something for us. So Joe has been kind enough to donate an idea today of something that we are going to build. So Joe, do you want to give a little background, or actually I'll do it because that way the mic picks it up and all that. So so Joe has been running a nanny business, right? Basically clients come to her, they need a nanny, and she says, great, I will help you find somebody. And then she helps place that nanny in a job. Those can be temporary jobs, part-time, or they can even be full-time. And that's what she does today. But she wants to scale that, and now is thinking about building a platform, almost a marketplace, like an Airbnb, but for nannies. And so today, we're actually going to build that platform. We're not going to build everything. We're going to build an MVP version. It's not going to look as sexy as we want it to at the end, but with enough work and enough elbow grease on this, you can make it exceptional. And so we're going to do that. So she's been kind enough to send me something in advance. So she actually, I think, worked with ChatGPT originally and asked it like, hey, like, or explained to it the idea and was like, hey, can you help me, kind of iron this out? How would this platform work? And so she kind of gave me this as a starting point. So what I'm going to do is I am going to actually copy this entire thing. And then what we're going to do is go to ChatGPT, and we're going to explain a few things first. So I'm going to say, can you help me turn this into some prompts for Lovable so I can instruct it to build me an app. So maybe that is a starting point. I'm just going to feed all that information in, and it's just going to start to structure this a little bit cleaner than what it is now, right? There's a lot of information there. I want to keep it pretty simple. So let's read through some stuff here. Okay, create a full stack web app called Evelyn and Bloom. It connects childcares, nannies, parents, and agencies with training, hiring tools, and e-commerce features. So I think we're going to refine this a little bit because we're going to keep it, like, I think for scope purposes, let's only focus on a parent posting a job listing, a creating profile, a nanny being able to see that job listing, apply for it, and also have a profile. And then, yeah, and I think that's, and also authentication, login, right? So I think that's like a good starting point. It's the core of the platform. All this other e-commerce and training and hiring tools probably can wait for another time. So, all right. So I'm going to tell it that. So I want to keep it simple. So essentially, we need authentication with Google. We only need to have people create profiles. Either they're going to select being a nanny or they are going to be a parent. And they should be able, a parent should be able to post a job listing and manage that job listing. And a nanny on their side should be able to see the job listings and apply for the job, and then keep track of all the listings that they've applied for. And also we'll have a profile as well. So we're just going to refine it down a little bit more and just try to get something that we feel like is a good starting place. Okay, cool. It's definitely adding some structure to this, some basic stuff. And some of this stuff is like for what I would call like a database model. So it's kind of giving it some very specific instruction that's a slight bit more technical, but still, you guys can read it and make sense, right? Okay, like name, email, image, that makes sense. ID might be confusing to you, but it's important, so that's why it's there. Cool. So I think that's probably pretty good. And I'm going to make some assumptions. We're not going to read through everything, but we're going to just copy this because I think it's probably a pretty good starting point. And we're going to go to Lovable. We're going to paste it in. And then one thing I wanted to do is, I want to give it some instructions about layout. For style and layout, I want this to have a left sidebar. And this is good. You might need to learn some terminology in terms of explaining user interface, if you want to give it more specific instruction. So I'm kind of showing you that you can do that. So left sidebar for navigation. Use the colors. Use the colors of the rainbow, but keep the background white. And also, it's worth noting that you can add, so I think actually Joe provided an image. Yeah, there it is. So you can totally bring in images. So I'm going to press, attach, my bad. Attach, and let's go to downloads and find that one. See, nanny, there it is. So I'm going to add that image. And it doesn't do a great job with images, but it's going to kind of get a little bit of the vibe from it. And it'll probably apply some of it to your platform. It's not going to do it perfectly. One of the big, I'd say, drawbacks at the moment of Lovable is it doesn't do a great job of interpreting images, and it also doesn't integrate super well with a tool that a lot of product designers use called Figma. And that's what like a more professional designer would use to create something. Cursor, on the other hand, has a direct integration with Figma and can basically take a design created in Figma and match it one-to-one from design to code. It's very, very impressive. This will do an okay job with it. It has a tool called Builder.io, which does an okay job, but it's not as seamless as it could be.
Do you think that there's new Figma functionality that will also export to code, etc.? Do you think it's worth staying within Figma ecosystem?
So the issue with that, so what Nick is talking about, inside of Figma now there is a new tool called Figma Make. And Figma Make essentially does, in some ways, exactly that. It takes design and brings it directly into code. And the problem is that it's not always super accurate. And I've found that for whatever reason, the models that they use are not as powerful as some of the models that these tools use. Like, for example, Lovable is using Claude Sonnet 4.5. I use Claude Sonnet 4.5 in Cursor as well. It's the best coding model out there. I'm not sure what Figma is using at the moment, but I found the results to be really mediocre at best. But ironically, the Figma MCP, which I'll explain what that is in just a second, does a better job connecting Figma to Cursor or other environments. And I found the results to actually be way more accurate and better. But just to kind of like not get too deep into this subject, but an MCP is basically a way for two applications to talk to each other through AI. That's the easiest way to explain it, right? There used to be old thing. Well, it's not that old. It still exists, but you may have heard of the term API before. It's the same thing, but specifically for AI. But we're not going to get deep into that. What we're going to do is we're going to send our prompt off, and we're going to get this thing started. And so while this is going, and this process likely will take about 5 minutes, we'll see. We're gonna check how long it takes because it's pretty fast, I have to say. It's so fast. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Lovable is doing here and also the interface. So on the left side here, and it's actually quite funny that it's overwriting here. There's a bit of a bug in Lovable.
Something's ready.
Okay, it's asking me a question. I really wish it didn't screw up right now. There's definitely an issue, but I know what it's saying. It's saying, okay, I understand what you want to do, and do you want to use Lovable Cloud? Now, I want to explain this part because this is important. So when you're building an application or a website, and there's a distinction between those two. In this case, we're building a website, or actually it's a web application, but we won't get into the details of what the distinctions between that is. It's a website for the sake of argument. And when you build one, there needs to be a database, there needs to be authentication, there needs to be security, all sorts of stuff, right? Now, all of that usually does not exist in one place. In fact, there are many different tools and services that you can choose from to do all that stuff, and it's actually a little bit complicated. In fact, so complicated that it was a barrier for a lot of folks when they were building with Lovable. So what Lovable did, which was really, really smart, was they built their own tools. So now you have authentication, you have databases, security, all of it baked into one platform, and it's called Lovable Cloud. And for this project, for this very basic setup where we don't need to customize anything specific, we're just going to allow it and use their system. So yeah, it's a good thing that that error just kind of went away. Now we can actually read what it says. It's telling us that like this is what it's going to build, and then it's enabling the cloud, which we just enabled, and now it is thinking and it is building. So while it is doing its thing, and we're going to read what it's doing in a second, you have the ability to continue prompting this here in this window in the bottom left corner. So you'll just continue asking it questions. You can even, I think you can queue up a prompt. So if you're like kind of, you see what it's doing and you're already like thinking 2 steps ahead, you know, you're like, oh, I can just write this now, and you can queue it for the next time that it's done and just have it go right away, you know. You can also add more stuff, like you could add knowledge to it, like that could be like information from the web. You can set up project settings. You can attach a file. You can take a screenshot of something. This we'll look at later, but edit allows you to actually click this, and it will allow you to go and click on things on your screen that it builds. And you can specifically be like, change this to green, right? And so it'll allow you to target specific elements on your screen. And then up here, this eventually, when our app is done building, we'll be able to preview. That's like the screen we're on now. We'll be able to see the app right here in this interface. And then we'll also eventually be able to see the code, the analytics, and what it's building here in the cloud. That's going to all turn up once it's finished building. And then on the top right, remember I mentioned connecting with your GitHub? You can click on this and connect with your GitHub account. So all you have to do is set one up. Like I said, it's totally free. And then in this case, Supabase, remember we talked about databases and authentication. Supabase is another service, a separate service from Lovable, not part of Lovable Cloud, that has a partnership with Lovable. And they also are fantastic and very easy to use and set up and have all of those things together under one roof. You know, authentication and databases and all that, so you can manage users and everything. But for our purposes, since we just want to keep it simple, Lovable Cloud actually serves all the needs that we have. So let's have a look at like what's going on here. So it says let's see. Now I'll copy the logo and set up everything in parallel. So it looks like it was actually took my took the logo that you had there. We're going to see if it actually uses it correctly. And now it's starting to build the actual database. Now, you guys don't need to understand what any of this means. This is highly technical. But all you have to know is that it's building a database right now. And that database is going to contain, it looks like it got the image, nice. That database is going to contain all the information about our system, right? We need the nannies, right? We need all the parents that have signed up. All of them have various pieces of information, their emails, their first name, their last name, right? Maybe information they've shared with us, how many children that they have, right? All of this needs to be stored in the database so that we can access it on our platform. And that's exactly what it was building right there, is all of that information. And it's thinking through every single detail of almost everything you might need to store there so that it anticipates in the future what we need to build. And so I'm going to just scroll down a little bit more here and just see what else it did. Now let me set up the rainbow design system and create all the components. Amazing. It's building a component library for us so that when we build other parts of our application, it'll be easy to take the same designs and place them in new places, right? Then it says it's creating the dashboard and remaining components, creating job management and browse pages. This is taking shape beautifully. The core platform with rainbow theme design, secure authentication, and role-based dashboard is now live. Okay, what's next? Test it out, sign up, pick a role, explore the dashboard, refine, tweak colors, animations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, add remaining features. So it looks like it says it didn't do the job creation yet. We're going to add that. And the application tracking, profile management, and more. So let's just try to sign in. So this is just like the home page, right? So we're going to sign up, and I'm going to put my email. And I'll just do test 1, 2, 3. And sorry for all my pop-ups there. Okay, am I a parent or am I a nanny? So I think maybe we'll start, I'm a parent because we're going to need to create a job listing so nannies can see them later, and then we'll test if nannies are working. Okay, wow, we're in. It looking pretty good. It's got my left sidebar just like I asked, right? So we're going to manage all our navigational links. And here's like our main dashboard. We can see all the jobs, any active jobs, total applications. And let's see what happens. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah, okay. We knew that wasn't going to work because we saw that it hadn't added that yet. So we're going to say, we're actually going to just take this. Literally, it wrote it for us. And we're going to say, do that. Like, I didn't even give it any other context. Just copy, paste, add remaining features. I can add job creation forms, application tracking, profile management, and more. Okay, go do it. And it's going to also take some liberties here. Like, there may be things that it goes and tries to build that I didn't even instruct because I was vague. If I was explicit, it would not. It would just do exactly what I asked. But that's a really important point. The more specificity you give it, the more context you give it, the better the output you're going to get. If you are vague about things, you are going to sometimes get a mess of stuff you don't need. And you may either need to revert, right? Meaning go back like in the code and say, no. And that's something you can actually do right here. I think because it's working right now, I can't do it. But once it completes, I can press restore, and it will take all the code that it just wrote and effectively erase it and take you back to another point in time. Because if you like went down a path and maybe there's all sorts of errors and you're like, it's not working anymore, it's broken, I can't figure out why, then you may want to restore it back to a point where it was working. Make sense?
Can you save it at different places that you stored it at?
It automatically saves after every completion after a prompt. So our first prompt here was, this was our first ever prompt, very, very, very long one. And then it like did all the work, and then you can see it ended. And then, let's see. No, sorry, it didn't end. This was when we added the Lovable Cloud. It kept going, and then here's actually where it ended. We only have one so far. So this is where it ended, and it usually shows it in blue. You can press restore, and it will take you back to this face. Cool.
Can you then also say, so if they're one of those at each point, so then could you say, oh, that went back too far, I needed to restore back to...
You have to be pretty careful. I have not used Lovable enough and to know if they have a more... Oh, they do have a view history.
But it's the same.
It's the same thing.
Each work provider.
Yeah, so you do have to be careful. I think you can click on different ones and kind of see, though, the code at different stages, or see like the result of different stages. But you do have to be careful that, yeah, if you do revert a commit, or not commit, I should say, you do revert one of the prompts that you made back to restore it to where it was, that you may lose other prompts that were in between. So to be very, very careful about that for sure. So while this is still, yeah, it's still editing, we can show what it's doing. It's editing. It's creating a lot of stuff now. Create job function, my jobs, job applicants, browse job. You can literally read them all right here. This is like creating the foundation of our application. In fact, it's like we can already see it happening live. It's literally showing us some of it.
And the amazing thing is that it usually knows more or less the location, it knows more or less what the hourly rate is, it knows what detail you would like to have if you're hiring a nanny.
Yep.
It's a lot of things that are like...
It anticipates a lot, and sometimes we'll think of things that you didn't even think of. I use it also to like work through some logic and reasoning at times. You know, if there's something complicated that you need to figure out and you want to give it the context of your platform so it understands like the whole code base, but then you're like trying to figure that out, you can literally talk to it and be like, hey, like help me sort this out. I'm trying to figure out this system. And like, you know, for a user experience designer, that's gold, right? Because sometimes it's really complicated. So I wanted to show you this. In the cloud section up here, you can see actually the database items that it created. So there's something called profiles, right? And so the profiles table will actually have me, right? Because I signed up, I have a profile, and there's a bunch of information that's missing. But there is a table for that. There's also an applications table and a jobs table. So once we add a job, it'll be listed in that table. This is exactly a database, just like an Excel spreadsheet. This is called SQL, right? You might have heard of SQL before. It's pretty famous. But this is a SQL database. And here you can actually manage all your users too. So like literally if you put this out into the world and people started to sign up and, you know, let's say like, you know, you wanted to check a user and maybe even delete a user, or like maybe there's probably even a reset password kind of thing here. You would be able to see all their information right here, even how they logged in. And you can track signups, which is really nice. You can also set up your authentication settings. So if I wanted to add, for example, Google authentication, I could do that here and turn this on. It's a little bit more involved. You might need to like follow some tutorials on how to set this up, but it's actually not super hard if you just follow the tutorials. Storage, so this will likely be any files that, you know, people upload and things like that. That's another thing. Databases, right? Like usually when you build a web application, your files get stored in one place. Like let's say B150 is a great example. We have a whole feed, right? So when people post to the feed, we need to store lots of media. We need to store videos and images and links and all that stuff, right? Well, videos and images are really, really heavy and they're costly to store. So we need to store that in one place. That's usually Amazon Web Services. S3 is the name of that. Highly technical, not necessary for beginners, right? And then we store all our user information in another database called Neon. So you see how complex this gets already. It's like, whoa, I have to know about these two very different companies and setups and do two very different things and even understand how those things work? No. Like for a beginner, that is just too much to ask. Lovable makes it super easy. You have it all integrated right here. And all you have to know is that you have to go there to look at it, which is brilliant, super smart.
What are the sort of numbers at point where you do start to outsource? Like, what are those numbers looking like for data storage and the numbers of people?
When you,
Does that make sense? Is my question.
sorry, I
So,
didn't
like,
fully
what numbers
understand.
are you looking at? Like when do you
At
start
what scale?
outsourcing? Yeah.
Oh, at what scale do you need to switch over?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a bit hard to answer because it will be a bit dependent on your platform and the type of content that's on it. Like in my platform, since it's full of rich media, right? Like B150 is gonna eventually, if it scales a lot, it's gonna probably get quite costly. And even the infrastructure it's built on now is good, but I think if it were truly to scale, we would want to switch over to more of like an enterprise grade system. Let's hope it gets to that stage and we can
When it gets to that
we can deal with that problem as it comes. But I think for anybody just starting out, getting to, I mean, you probably won't be concerned about cost like of these kind of costs anyways, honestly, until like I feel like over 100,000 users,
Very question as well. If you go in the chat on the bottom, you can say,
Yeah, model it out.
Building, how many users can I load in? If I've got 3 files, the average file is this.
100%. You
Like,
could totally query
how
it.
far can we go with this without changing anything? And it will tell you,
Yeah.
this is good for that. Or we can scale it up and build it using another system if you
Yeah.
want. So
Although one thing I want to note is I would probably not ask that question inside of Lovable because it will cost you credits. So we're going to talk about that too. So so that's actually a good segue. But I will, just to finish Chris's point, I would take that question into like a ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude and frame it exactly the way Chris just said it.
Or you would ask
And
Lovable, what are you building?
yeah, you would have to tell it. Well, you'd have to tell it, hey, like I'm building an app in Lovable. This is what the app does. And I'm concerned about like future cost. I'm trying to understand what will it cost me over the next few months if I have, 10 users versus, 1,000 users versus 100,000 users. Can you help me model this out? And then it'll research on the internet, find all the information that Lovable's published about their cloud platform, find the pricing, and figure out exactly what it would cost based on your specs. Make sense? Cool. Great. So let's go back to our platform. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of the design system, you said that the Lovable create reusable components. Is
Yes.
there a way to edit them or see them?
So not yet, but we can absolutely instruct it to do that for us. Right. And actually, I'm glad you said that. That's a really good practice in general, because why that's super powerful is because when we build things later, we can reference it. Right. So we can say, hey, can you look at the components page? Like reference this in terms of style and use these components again in other parts of our application, because we're going to. Yeah, it can be buttons, colors, inputs, layout styles, everything. Yep.
But you don't have a visual reference in the Lovable
At the moment, no, but we can instruct it to build it. Yeah, that's actually a really good practice. I do that actually in Cursor as well, and it's a really, really good practice. So I want to mention something about prompting and credits just before we move on and take a look at the platform and go further. So the way Lovable works is you have to sign up. Well, there's a free account, and there's also paid accounts. You'll probably do a few prompts and quickly hit the free account limit. It's not an extraordinarily costly platform, in my opinion, for the output that it can generate. I mean, literally, like by the end of this session, we may have a working prototype that Joe can start charging for.
In a traditional coding environment, if you were to code what just happened here,
How long would this take?
How many hours of work would you need?
This would be
How many pages?
this.
Like 4?
I mean, depending on what developers you hired and where in the world they were located, I think the cost is anywhere from $10,000 all the way up to, I mean, if we were to really make this beautiful and an amazing experience, up to 100,000 in some cases could be 500,000 easily as a prototype starting point.
What it is
you know?
now, I mean, what we have in front of us?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's an okay design, right? So probably would want to hire a designer. I would say, but what we have in front of us, like this feels like, yeah, this feels like an app you could probably get done for, yeah, around like 50K, 50 to like,
It's a lot.
yeah.
You got that in 10 minutes.
Yeah, in 10 minutes. And, this would cost you maybe $20 subscription to Lovable per month.
Yeah.
Like, it's worth trying, right?
You were talking about how much time it would take to build it?
Yeah, like, because there's like the homepage, the dashboard, the job page, the profile page, all of this.
The whole bug.
It's like 5-6 pages at least.
Yeah, minimum. I mean, and this is a two-sided
How many hours of
marketplace.
actual human coding would you need to do to build this?
For this prototype, it would take you minimum 3 months, I would say, to get something formidable that could be touched and played with. It just like, and it would be a team of developers. It wouldn't just be one.
Yeah.
This would be a front-end developer, a back-end developer. You'd need a QA tester. You'd need a product manager to manage the project. You'd need a designer to think through all these experiences. I mean, that's 5 people right there, all of them on payroll, full-time working on this for 3 months. Like, insane costs, right? And this just built it in 5 minutes, and we're going to test it out, see how far it got.
I'm with Adam though, like you just saved 50K, so you should spend 10 on a really good design.
That's why you need to hire Academy.
When you start looking at all this design, you're like, it's just copy and paste, everything looks the same. And I think you mentioned this on one of your podcasts, you were saying
Very generic.
that you can see it's been built on Lovable or Cursor or something like this. So
Yeah.
I was thinking something similar. I'm a designer, so I can provide the designs, but then after I build something, how easy for a developer is to keep building on that, like.
Yeah, on like this code, for example.
Because I
Yeah.
heard that, for example, Figma made that like
Yep.
Spanish code. I don't know.
Exactly. So what's great about this, in terms of the quality of the code, as I said, I think it uses Claude Sonnet to write the code. So I know the code is going to be relatively good. Will it be as perfectly developer grade as a real trained developer would write? Probably not. In fact, it'll be good enough, but like not fantastic, and maybe even write too much code, like more than necessary, not be super efficient. But in terms of transferability, like I mentioned before, you connect this to GitHub, boom, the code is all there in the cloud, ready to be taken and used in any other environment that a developer so chooses to use. So very easy transferability. Yep.
can you take the code from this and put it in ChatGPT and say, can you check this?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Oh yeah, you could totally do that. Yes. And so actually just worth noting right here, you can actually see, here's all the code for the application. So you can literally see source, these are all the components, the sidebar, the authentication, how that's set up, any libraries we used. This is actually like the main homepage, and everything kind of like flows in from here. This is a React application, actually. It's exactly what it is, using TypeScript. So not what you need to really look at as a beginner, not necessary, but like you asked, does this have usable code? Like, absolutely. It's structured extraordinarily well. It's really well labeled. It's easy to read. There's great commenting. So you're going to know and be able to figure out what's going on if you are a developer, which is fantastic. Cool. Any quick questions that I can answer? Or, all right, let's move back to our prototype here. So we got our parent dashboard. Let's see if we can create a listing now. Okay, amazing. So what's a good job title, Joe?
Oh,
Nanny.
yes.
Nanny.
Nanny for long-term nanny in Mallorca.
Okay, yeah. Long-term nanny in Mallorca. Okay, and then let's see. I need a nanny for my 8 children. Full-time. We live in Palma.
Ages 0 to 16.
Yeah.
All the trouble.
0 to 16. Okay, perfect. Full-time, schedule details. Okay, we actually included some of this, but yeah, sure. Monday to Friday. And then we'll say it's $100 per hour. And then let's add a few requirements. What would be like a requirement, Joe? Driver.
Have they got qualifications?
So like what kind of qualifications?
Say that, sorry?
First aid.
First aid, yeah, first aid.
Oh, good one.
And police check.
Background
Yeah,
check.
background check.
Okay, those are some good ones. All right, let's go ahead and post our job. Okay, cool. So here's our job, long-term nanny in Mallorca. It's active. We can also click here to view applicants. There's no applicants yet because no nannies have applied. We're going to check that. So we can always go back here to my jobs. We can always press create job. We can also see my profile. I can add more information. So I'm going to say Palma and 555, 555, 555. And we are a family of 8. Okay, let's save. Okay, it looks like it was saved successfully. Let's go away from the page and come back. Okay, it did save, right? We wanted to confirm that. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Like, that's a good start. Let's log out. Let's sign up again. Let's see actually if it throws an error here.
You don't have the job board yet. It's missing the job board, I think.
The job board is for nannies. Let's see what happens when I try to sign up with the same email. Okay, good. These are already registered. So it did error validation. Really important. Something you may not have thought about, but it did, right? Okay, so I'm going to use my other email, and we're going to sign up. But this time, we're going to sign up as a nanny. So I'm going to continue as a nanny. And user experience-wise, there's probably a lot we could do here. We probably want a little more onboarding, right? We want people to maybe set up their profile to begin with versus like waiting till later. But, those are details that you could work through and think about later and improve upon. But to just get something up and running, here we are on the nanny dashboard. We can see my applications. And active jobs probably isn't the right name on this, dashboard. It's like maybe jobs available or something like that. It's not an active job for you unless you were the one who applied to it and got it and then somehow it's tracking it. But yeah, but those are things you can work through, right? So, all right, let's browse jobs. Okay, so here we are. There's a search and filter by location type, long-term nanny position in Mallorca. Great, that's where I live. I'm going to click and view the details. Oh, cool, $100 an hour. I'm in. And this is the job description. Cool, I meet these qualifications. I'm going to apply now. I'm an experienced nanny with 20 years experience. Okay, sure, good enough. And of course, we could make the form field a lot more detailed than just a blanket text input. We could add much more, drop downs and very specific requirements. We could even match those requirements to their profile, right? We could have it automatically fill information, but it says that I applied and submitted.
So Adam, for those kind of details, I just dive back into the prompt and say, I want to work more on the nanny application page.
Yep, that's a really good,
Can
I think,
work on
next
the
step.
form?
Yep.
I needed to,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
need to autofill from any PDF they upload or this kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, we can do that next, actually. So, all right, so we've applied. We can see all the jobs we've applied to in my applications. We can withdraw an application. We can view the job again. Now, we're not going to set it up today, but we could set up platform messaging, right? So we can definitely set that up as well. I'll also have a profile here where I can, again, like input my information. Actually, good idea. Let's make it $100 an hour. Let's make it 20 years experience. Palma. And let's see, skills, first aid, driver, and background check, sure. And Spanish, English. Okay, and yeah, that's a good starting point. We'll save that to make sure it's saved. Okay, everything is there still, saved. Great. Okay, let's see, we've got a dashboard. So, all right, and now we can see there was still one job there, but we have one application submitted to that also updated. Super impressive so far, not gonna lie. Let's, like you had suggested, maybe we want to, oh, and I want to check something. When we browse jobs, if we view details, yeah, it won't let me apply again. So we are actually gonna, let's log out. We're gonna sign back in as the other account. And we're just gonna create one more extra job. Okay, part-time nanny in Mallorca. I'll just fill this in as test for now. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. It's my table rocking. Okay, we're going to just post that. And so now we have multiple jobs. I'll log out again and just go back to the nanny experience. Oops, I meant to go here. Promise. Making so much noise. Yeah, it's all good. And test 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, all right. So let's just browse the jobs again. All right. So we got the part-time nanny. Now, what's interesting is this one. Oh, okay. Good. You can view the details, but you can't apply. But this one, you can apply. So, but what we want to do is when we apply, you had mentioned wanting to have more details on this form. So actually, this might be a good opportunity to use this edit function. So I'm going to press edit. And see now I have control over this screen. And I'm going to select this. And you can either ask for a quick change right here, or it understands the context right here. And I'm going to say, I think we need to add more details to this application. Can you suggest some and maybe pull in some of the data from my profile to help fill it out? So let's see how smart it is, right? Like, is it capable of understanding the context of my application and know that in the profile I've actually filled out information? It's going to also be able to know that there's a database that has that information, and I can actually connect it in here and build this out. So it may prompt me first and say, okay, like, how do these sound? Or it will just kind of go off on its own. I could be explicit though. I could say, I need a form that includes this very specific information. Please add that, right? And then you could even be more specific about the style of it, right? You could be like, I want my inputs to look like this. I want my, I want the cover letter to be two pixels, larger than it currently is, or 10% larger than it currently is. Those are like all details you could instruct it, and it will make those changes. You could make the whole background, instead of black, this could be red, anything you want.
And you can choose like fonts and things and bring in fonts that you use.
Yep, you could absolutely instruct it and give it, even feed it in the fonts. So it says here, I'll add expected hourly rate, availability, years of experience, phone number, highlighted skills, all sound great.
And Adam, to what degree could I say, I really like this job application form on another site that I've seen. Should I, for example, put that into Lovable?
Mm.
Or is there
You could, I would say in that case,
take inspiration?
you can just press the plus button here, attach it,
Oh, nice.
right? So just
Screenshot.
download it. Yeah, or you can take a screenshot. Although I've never used this tool. Oh, you'd have to like, I don't know how that works. I don't know. You have to play around with that one.
Select the tab.
But yeah, just download the image to your screen or take a screenshot and put it into your, whatever folder it goes into.
Right.
And then upload it here. And what it will do, so the thing is, the technology for image recognition is it's extraordinarily powerful and great, but it's really great at understanding structure. So it will like really capture the layout, whatever you send. It's great at like understanding maybe some colors, maybe even like it'll understand that, oh, you're using like thin lines versus thick lines.
So more of a design lens than a content lens?
I would say it uses more of an architecture lens than it does a design lens.
Okay, interesting.
So it's like I don't know. I'm thinking like it's kind of like a UX designer makes wireframes and a product designer makes full UI, and it acts more like a UX designer than a UI designer.
Got it.
Yeah, it's not powerful enough to understand how to translate exact style
Sure.
into code. But what is possible with like Figma MCP is because Figma is built on code originally, actually, like on behind the scenes, Figma MCP actually is able to take your designs and truly translate them very fluidly into code.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it would probably, if I took an inspiration from another form, it would take the content, like questions asked and the upload button and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, if you're like, I love how this form looks. It's a 2-column layout.
Yeah.
It uses like a sticky navigation on each one of them.
Right.
The questions that it wrote are really good.
Right.
It'll read all of that and will understand it and even build you exactly that. But in terms of like the refined details that a designer would think through,
Sure.
like, oh, I want there to be a perfect gradient, Yeah, I'd say there's still tremendous value in hiring a designer because they'll be able to take what we build here and really polish it up and make it really, really great. But they also don't just need to be any designer anymore, right? They need to be a designer who also knows how to leverage these tools exceptionally well and apply them, because they're going to need to take their designs and make them into code, and that is not always like as easy a task as I described earlier. Cool. All right, so let's check our form, right? Apply now. Okay, boom, we got some stuff here. Pre-filled, my expected hourly rate, that's what I wrote in my profile, 100. I also wrote 20 years experience in my profile, not just in the job listing that was requesting it. I didn't put a phone number, so it didn't fill that in. I did put highlighted skills that I have, and I didn't write my availability, so it didn't include that, and nothing for the cover letter because that's going to be customized anyways. So now I could literally submit this application in that information. Let's actually try it. Okay, I'll just say test for now. We're going to submit it. And let's see if actually in the applicants on the parent side, if it actually brought in the information about me. So I'll log out one more time. Test 1, 2, 3. And we're going to take a look at my, I want to see applicants. Sorry, let's view all jobs. I guess I have to do I need to do my jobs first, which actually makes sense from a user experience standpoint. And then I want to view applicants for the part-time nanny position. And let's see, Adam Perlis, Palma, 20 years experience. It didn't include my hourly rate. But, okay, this is cool. We'll talk about that in a second. But it did include a bunch of other information, in which case, including the test message that I wrote. So we could give it more instruction. Be like, can you make sure that the hourly rate also comes through, right? So this is where it's a bit imperfect, right? Sometimes it gets everything you want. Sometimes you need to give it a little more instruction. But eventually, like, we're not far away from a pretty full-fledged platform here that can do a lot. And it even has here a state management system. So it's like, let's see, submitted, reviewed, interview, offer, rejected. Okay, so, you know, I'm not sure why submitted is there, but
Because you built an applicant tracking system.
yeah, built a small ATS into this. I'm not sure exactly where it's managing those right now. It would probably have to come up with another view. You might say, I don't know what this means, remove it, you know? But yeah, you know, I think this is a good stopping point. We built a pretty full-on platform here, and it took us, you know, of course I did a lot of explaining, but I would say after the first prompt, which got us like probably about 90% there, that started at exactly, let's see, does it tell me? Oh, here it is. So that started right here at 8:39, and then by the time it was done with this entire prompt, which was I think here, so this is when we, does it show the time here? Oh, there it is. Yeah, sorry. It was 9:12. So was it? It was 8:29 and then 9:12. So it took us around, no, 9, it was 8:29, I think, before.
Was 8:29? No, 8:39.
8:39.
And 9:12 you said, no? But it's 9:12. Oh, no, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, about
Okay. Yeah, it was not, it was 8:39 and then it built it by 9:12.
3 minutes.
Yeah. No, but I think it,
No, it was fast.
it was fast. It was way faster than that. Oh, it's here. Sorry. Add a remain. Oh, remember it was add main remaining features. So that actually was 8:49. So that took 10 minutes, and then we added another feature which took till 9:12. So yeah, another 20 minutes or so. So within 30 minutes, we had pretty much a full-on platform, which is just insanity.
But what's incredible is that it's getting faster every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next week is going to be faster, and the week and next month, it's...
Yes, every day it's getting faster. And so I think like my main message kind of like walking away from this is that anybody can build something now. You know, the quality of what you build really depends on how much time and effort you want to put into building it yourself. It is very easy, as you can see here, to get started. I encourage you even to just learn by getting started and trying this out, right? If you are interested, you have an idea and you want to see it to fruition, just to learn, yeah, like just learn about this basics. Even if you don't want to see it to fruition later, this is a great starting point. And I think that, you know, what's really cool is that before people would have an idea and say, like, it's too hard, or it's too much money, right? And now, if you have a good idea, you can actually make it happen. And so that's what I think Lovable's main mission is. I think it's what B150's main mission is to inspire people to essentially be able to go and build things that they couldn't do before and never thought were possible. So really excited to see what you guys will all build.
Nice.
Thank you, guys. Cool. Any questions? I know we answered a lot during the actual talk, but anything that I can help answer for people?
For me, it's like the idea of the credit system, like how you can just top up and use and get more, because like I'm thinking about all the things I would want to do and how many credits I would end up using, like trying one thing
Yeah.
and changing it.
Yeah, credit management is really important. There are various plans that they have. I think they also have ones where if you buy one level plan, you can also like probably add on some credits, I'm pretty sure. But one of the, I'd say like tricks to credit management is like, sometimes you may want to build something, but you're like, if you really want to be efficient with it, like go into ChatGPT, have it like explain to it what you want it to do. So you're not like telling it to change a color, right? Like, no, don't like focus on that, right? Like changing colors, that can be done at some other point, or like, maybe with a bigger, included in a bigger prompt, that's a simple one. But like use ChatGPT to help formulate your prompts in advance, and then you can plug them over in chat with ChatGPT to like work through the logic and think through things, and then bring it over into here with like one larger single prompt that addresses a lot of things at the same time.
So it's not like you can do some of the things yourself and then you have to prompt everything. It's not like you can just go and change the colours yourself.
So inside of here, let me just check one thing. So like, let's say, and that would be a little bit more of a technical thing, but like, let's just look at the CSS. Can I? Okay, so you could actually, but it would require coding knowledge.
Yeah.
So
Not like you do on Squarespace, which is very simple.
yeah, exactly. So that would definitely be, I'd say, like, yeah, try to build it into like one of a larger prompt that you're trying to work on instead of like a small thing.
But still, even if you go back and forth, I mean, I built a platform that I went back and forth many times because I didn't do what you said, and because I need to see the visual result, be like, oh, I don't like this, I want this here, I want this here, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And I went many times back and forth, and I think I spent 300 euros on it, and I did many hours. So it's like, it wasn't efficient, and still, like, I had a result that was really good. And
Yeah, exactly. And, I think if you were to be more advanced in something like this, like what I do is like, I'll design it in Figma first, and then like really work on the experience inside of there, and then take those designs and bring them into a coding assistant tool and say, this is what I need. Like today, like we had to work through, we're like creating a marketplace and there's reviews, but there's many different states to the review. Well, like if you paid for the review, that's like one state, but if you didn't pay, it's a different state. And we had to like work through every single state. And so doing all of that inside of, the tool would just be costly, right? In terms of like all the prompts we'd have to write. And instead we kind of mapped it out there, and then we took a screenshot, and then we typed out what we wanted, and then we explained. And that really, performed a lot better.
Again, probably look at other sites that you think are really beautiful, like if you're looking at design, and
Yeah.
use it as a prompt
But
because
I've already got one site, so I want to use my site colour. We're going to change the colours and stuff, but use that on this as
as a
well.
prompt,
So
Yeah.
you could put your own like.
you can probably just put the URL and say, can you check out this site? I want to say.
Bring in
Yeah.
the colours, bring in the font, bring in the.
yes.
Yeah. In fact, like, yeah, like Lovable, I'm not sure if it has this, but I know like Cursor does. Like you can actually feed it a URL, and it will like literally like read the code of the site and like be able to do some copying. Yeah. So it won't be perfect, and yeah, maybe at some point you would need more of an expert designer. But I think if you are just getting started with this and you want to just like get this up and running and have a few people try it out, like, and see if they like it, and see if like you can get some feedback from them and document all that, like then maybe the next step is you can try to like fix them on your own. But if you get stuck, then it's time like, okay, like now I can hire somebody to help me get this to the next level, and really make it amazing. But I think you can honestly stand up like this, it will be enough, Yeah. Danny, go ahead.
So once you press publish, does it connect to the domain? How do you actually connect?
Oh yeah. So well, let's just see what happens when we press publish. So it creates, for now, a temporary domain for you called parentnannyhub.lovable.app. So that will be live on the internet if I hit publish. You can also, let's see if maybe, oh, here we go, custom domain. So here you can do a custom domain, and it looks like publish, let's see, connected domains, add existing domain. So I can press connect domain, or I can even press buy domain if I don't have one. And then you can connect to, like, let's say you bought it on GoDaddy, or, there's any number of services, but let's say GoDaddy, then it would probably give you some instructions about how to connect it.
And through Lovable, it connects everything.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have to see, like, let's see what happens when you press connect domain. Oh, that's
When you buy domain instead of
a bit funny.
it's already.
I might need to publish it first, but
That's nice.
yeah, I might need to publish it first to be able to do it, but I'm sure it gives you very clear instructions about how to connect your DNS.
I didn't know how to do that until the website.
Yeah, no, I
usually
understand. That's easy.
the chat support
Oops.
from the website usually tells you
I
what
think
to
it's,
do. Easy to follow.
it's freaking out. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so you can totally do it. It's no problem. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I noticed in Lovable, for example, that it builds some things that you didn't ask. For example, you
Yeah,
type the same email and it tells you that it already existed.
yeah.
How do you know when something is missing or it's not built? For example, the hour rate, it
Yeah.
might not be missing, it's just not showing because of a reason. That's
Yeah, so like, okay, so it basically, if something it builds or you thought that it was supposed to build isn't like showing up. Is that kind of like the scenario?
more or less, yeah. Like my thought was it doesn't show the hour rate that you want, or I don't know, like a platform resource or policy.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a way to know that for sure without looking at the code that you can ask?
Yeah, exactly. So, so first of all, I think with all of these things that you build, it's really important to also think about testing, right? So it's like whenever we're building B150 inside of Cursor, and again, Cursor is just Lovable, but a slightly more advanced tool, right? And the things we're building are usually just pretty complex, right? Like there's a lot of very complex logic and UX things we need to figure out. And with those, when we instructed to build something complex, we need to test that it's 100% working, right? And so, so a lot of times we'll instruct it and say, can you help build a test? Like today, I was telling you before about the different review states. And I was like, can you build a test so I can see every single review state and review all of them? And so it helped build that for me. And then after I was done with that, I said, delete all the tests, right? So that we don't have all these leftover code and stuff in our application. So my advice is always check, right? Like validate that the thing you wanted it to build, right, is actually now built, and go through the experience yourself and try it. And if you can't validate it, and you saw me going through it on both sides, right? I was switching accounts, I was checking it out, making sure it works properly. And if you find that it's not, then you can give it instruction to fix, right? If not, then well, hopefully it's just working. Cool.
If you ask for information, it's going to charge you credits.
Yes, it will. And, I encourage you guys to read up on their policy of how they do pricing and all that. I actually haven't researched it too much, just because
You can check on the left as well, instead of building something, because every time you prompt something, you might build without asking.
Yeah, oh, that's a good point. Yeah, so if you switch this,
Back and forth without building anything, say,
Yeah.
do that, or
and I think, I don't know if this uses credits or not. That's my only,
Okay,
I would use something, but maybe not as much as the building credit.
yeah, let's just take a peek here. So it looks like $50 per month. That will give you 200 credits per month.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, and then credits per month, 5 daily credits. Okay, that reset each day. So those are probably like free credits. Yeah, okay, 5 daily free credits. And then it says usage-based cloud AI. So free, $25 cloud. Okay, I'm not really sure what that means because it's written free $25 cloud. It sounds like it's free. That's fun. That's funny how they wrote that. Plus $1 AI usage included. This offer
Use
allows.
Lovable.page.
Yeah. There's credit rollovers too. So if you don't use everything in a month, that's also nice.
Build platform.
Do you recommend like other platforms to review your platform instead of within Lovable or Cursor or whatever? Like, would you go to, I don't know, ChatGPT or Gemini or something and say, can you review my platform, my site, and tell me what you would improve?
Yeah. So ironically, like, and I think this will work because it's all connected through GitHub, right? So since everything's connected in GitHub, you could, in theory, actually pull in your GitHub
Right.
into like you can actually, I think, connect GitHub to ChatGPT now. So like, let's say you connected it and you said, I want you to look at this project and I want you to, yeah, like come up with ideas on how to improve it. And then actually, can you now write a prompt
Yes.
to help me improve it? And then take that prompt and plug it into Lovable. Like that would be actually a really efficient way to do it.
Right.
You know, but then you also like that would help you save on costs, right? For sure.
So once you know, like you don't know what you don't know, so maybe then ChatGPT has
Yeah,
a suggestion
it's actually it's a good hack too. Like you could literally like pay for like a Claude Code or like not Claude Code, but yeah, like Claude or ChatGPT, and you could literally like just hook it up to GitHub and like have it write all the code for you in there, and then just sync it with your Lovable project, and I think it will actually work because I think Lovable will just be pulling from that. But I'd have to look at that. Yeah.
Wait, so what is GitHub exactly?
Yeah, let me show you GitHub so it just like makes a little more sense because yeah, it's like a bit amorphous when we don't hear it. So this is literally so first of all, here's GitHub like
Hang out.
yeah. This is like the main this is the main interface. On the left side I have all my projects. On the right is not really important, but this is like the homepage. So I'll click on one of my projects, and literally this is my entire code base. Okay,
storage.
it's all the code stored in the cloud. So kind of like Google Drive, but for code. And so what's great about this is like, remember we were reviewing some of like the code before. I mean, you guys couldn't really, unless you know code, you probably can't read this. But when I click on it, like it literally has everything written here, right? And I'll talk about why this is so amazing, but we'll just talk about the basics for a second. The basics are, now that this is in the cloud, you can pull it down anywhere and use it, right? And the thing that's really amazing actually about GitHub is that it's actually tracking our changes. So let's say in Cursor, or not in Cursor, sorry, in Lovable, you tell it to do a prompt, right? And it creates something. Immediately, that actually triggers a save point, and it saves the entire code base, and it remembers not just like what was created now, it remembers everything you've ever done, right? So anytime you have a code change, it's like, oh, okay, I see something change. I'm going to mark that it's been changed, and I'm going to keep track of that. So if you ever need to go back, you can, right? So that's why it's so incredibly powerful. That this is the biggest innovation of GitHub. It's, yeah, I mean, blockchain, I mean, there's definitely some similarities in the technology, but yeah, very different. Yeah, same, but different, yeah.
Like track changes.
Yeah, so this is GitHub. The pricing model is confusing to me even, but
But you don't need GitHub to start with Lovable.
But hold on, what was your
You can
cursor?
just start.
Sorry, you used cursor as a.
yeah, so I use, I'll just pull it up so you can see like the distinction. So I use Cursor, and this environment, of course, is like a lot more code centric. But, you know, in some ways it's like quite similar. Like you'll see on the right side here, it's still loading, but we'll have a chat just like Lovable. And like a beginner could go in here and type in stuff and it will make it. The question is, can you figure out how to get it started and all that? Because look, it's like, you know, here I'm like, you know, running, you know, command line interface stuff, and you guys are going to be like, well, what the F is that? You know, but I know what this means because I know a little bit about coding, you know. But this is like, now I'm just getting my server started, and I know that, you know, if I go to localhost 3000 here, or I can even click on it, that it's going to load up our application and start, you know, actually, we're going to actually be able to see it, and then we can start to make changes and all that. So that's what, you know, Cursor would look like in a much more complex environment. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Any other questions? Wonderful. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for listening. I know we went a lot longer than we expected, but hopefully it was really informative. And Joe, I'll send you the GitHub. You can sign up for GitHub, and I'll send it to you.
Thank you. It's amazing.
Yeah. Actually, I wonder if there's a way to even just transfer this whole project over for.
Because that's something I was thinking about. Like, if you get it for like, you don't have this forever. Like, then you might, if you don't
Oh, look at
get
that.
that, then you lose it all.
Yeah, no, that'd be to like my team. So I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'll help you get it set up. If you're interested, I can help you get set up with it. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, built in public, no mask, no frontin', turn up into something. Now everybody want is